This isn't You Choose, it's Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show, live right now. Right now. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse. Wow. Shot out of a cannon.
And that'll be the energy for the show.
That's it. We did it.
Savannah says she's watching Peacemaker. You better be watching Grawlix Nights right now, like everyone else. We're back. So you're watching Peacemaker. No, that's a great thing. Peacemaker's good fun.
That's a great show. And
Yeah, it's fun.
yeah, super fun. And I'm glad they're having a season 2, unlike other shows that should have season 2s.
Oh, God, you're going to get right into the salt right away. Welcome to the salt mines.
We're back. We're back in the salt mines, covered in salt.
It feels like it's been ages since we did a normal live stream. It's been about a month, actually. We only did the crossover episode this month. Yeah, it's been an off month. Savannah said she also watched Tomorrow War. I have not watched that. She said, hate Chris Pratt. That surprises me a little bit.
I know. How can you hate Chris Pratt? He's like such a likable guy.
Yeah,
I don't like him in real life, but he has some on-screen charisma.
Having her friend watch Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol is amazing.
Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing you were watching a little bit of Venture Brothers also, which I fully endorse.
She probably got 3 episodes in and stopped. I almost guarantee it's that exact number. Yeah. Yep. Venture Brothers is so good.
It is.
There's gonna be a new Venture Brothers thing on HBO Max at some point.
Mm-hmm. So they say.
Thing? Like a special? Like a
Yeah, I think like a special
movie? Like a special. Yeah.
as
That
well
makes
as
sense.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force, I think. And just like at some point there was an announcement that, hey, these Adult Swim shows that you loved, HBO Max is going to have a new thing about them. Okay.
And next up, a new Homestar Runner.
One episode.
Because
Savannah?
you demanded it.
That's the pilot episode. Disgusting. I mean, it starts strong, but like, Venture Brothers is so good about creating its own world.
Yeah, it is.
It's interesting though, because it starts out as like a parody of Johnny Quest and that type of thing, and it never loses that. But man, it ends up just like creating its own world, and it's one of those shows that's kind of the secret to like the cult shows, right? Like, it's either they have super strong characters, or they're really good about creating their own world and in jokes. And have super strong characters. And Venture Brothers kind of nails all of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Watched all the Kingsmen. I've only ever seen the first one.
Me too. I might have seen some of the second one, but I'm not sure. Which one has Samuel L. Jackson? Is that the first one?
First one.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen that one.
Second one was super funny too. I haven't seen the newest one, which is just The King's Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they were going to do another one, where would they go?
Outer space!
Well, wouldn't they just do? I mean, like, because the second one was The Kingsman Golden.
Oh, they
Circle
just
or whatever.
bring back
So
some-
they would just put a subtitle on it. Is probably what they do. Just go back to The
No.
Kingsman.
That's not fun.
Nobody uses numbers anymore.
So for audio podcast listeners, hopefully I've posted it by now, but week before last we did a crossover episode, and I've been very slow to get that on the audio feed. It's been up on the video feeds, the video channels for a little while, with You Choose podcast. They're a podcast that streams the same time we do.
We're
Right
not
now.
bitter about that at all. Not bitter about that at all.
That's a fun episode. I will get it up on our audio feed at some point soon. Hopefully by the time you're hearing this, if not soon.
It was a lot of fun. I think we brought our energy to that show.
It was fun. I'm not like talking smack or anything, but I prefer when the like AI chooses the adventure.
Oh yeah.
That was more fun.
So bizarre
but
when the AI does it. So yeah, I also agree. Although they did pick a pretty good book for us. I mean, like it was it was bonkers.
I was, to be honest, I wasn't expecting to. I was invested. I was enjoying. I was enjoying that ridiculous story, and I was like, I don't know. It could be a slog if like the story's just not giving us anything.
Right.
But man, it gave us cultural appropriation. It gave us everything we wanted. We didn't even know we wanted.
it gave us racist ghosts. It gave us ghosts on ghost violence. It gave us like, yeah, I mean, it's as ridiculous as it sounds. You should go check out that audio. You can get the recap on our YouTube channel. Yeah, go check it out because it's weird and it's the kind of thing. You know, it's the kind of thing you expect from us.
You can watch it without climbing to the top of a bell tower.
That's true. That's true. Because apparently that's the only way you can see things.
Savannah says she watched Rick and Morty with her brain elsewhere. It was the Microverse episode, and whoa, my life outlook is completely different.
Yeah. That's the one with Stephen Colbert in it, right?
Is it? I can't remember.
I told him, hey, Morty.
What were we saying just before that? Wow, that's where I'm going to be today. So, yeah, I don't remember what we were doing the first. Oh, birthdays. This month's been kind of an off month.
It was my birthday, and I was like just fried. I was legit fried.
Yeah, and yeah, your birthday, and Melanie and I had our anniversary, and so we saved the podcast birthday-versary for the crossover episode. And then last week,
we all got sick.
We were all sick.
Well, I don't get sick. I just get out of sorts.
There you go.
She got out of sorts. She got out of sorts first, so I suspect she got me out of sorts.
I don't think
it had nothing to do with the Tool concert I went to, in which no one had masks.
Oh,
yeah.
I bet. Yeah.
I only got out of sorts, and someone got sick.
To be fair, though, I was getting sick before the concert.
I've never been to a bad Tool show, though. I bet it was amazing.
It was pretty cool. You know,
it's more like a jam session that you just get to sit in on.
It is.
It's not like your usual concert experience where you go there and they like tell you you're one of the best and I can't believe it's been so long, Omaha, or whatever. You know, they just get up there and they play.
Right. I think he addressed the crowd once or twice, but it was like while the music was still going. Like the music's going to do its thing for a while,
that makes sense.
And he's going to talk about Omaha, ha, ha, or something nonsense like that. I was like, you're getting old, huh? Yeah. You're bringing the dad jokes here, Maynard. What are you doing?
He's such a ham too. Like, was it the one time he was dressed in full Santa Claus outfit when he was touring with Perfect Circle, and he's just hamming it up in this Santa costume. And I was like, this is not what I expected.
It's so strange given the Pussifer maybe, like, you know, they're very tongue-in-cheek and weird, but like given the very serious image that Tool and the Perfect Circle have, it's weird. But you know, it makes sense. Like that's the project's image isn't necessarily their personalities. So you know, it was cool, then they were good. And it's not necessarily just me being old, because I've kind of felt this way for a long time. This is the first concert I've gone to in over 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kind of done with concerts. Like, they're cool, but, like, I will say...
They play long sets, too. I mean, like,
all
their songs are long, you know, 6-minute epics, you know.
It was very long. Tool, this is the first concert I've ever gone to where there wasn't... It was all seating. Right, which is not a big deal. When I was younger, I'd been like sitting at a concert, but like I'm old and kind of out of shape because I work from home. That's why. But the seating, it was at the CHI Health Center, which is not what you call a concert venue. That sounds like a hospital.
That's what used to be the Quest Center? It's the big Omaha venue. Okay.
And I think it used to be something else too, didn't it?
It's like every
Might have
5
been, yeah.
years or something, they let a different company come in and
I
invest money and rebrand it or something.
I still think it should be the Cox Center.
Oh, it used
It
to
was
be,
Cox
didn't it?
for a long time,
Wasn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think they ever won the bid,
Oh, well,
but it should have been.
CHI Health Center is not what you call a concert venue. It's weird.
Right.
But
Right.
the seating and tickets were expensive, and they were not great seats to begin with. But the seating, like, I'm a big man and also tall. Like, okay,
Right.
I'm big, but also tall. The seat wasn't happening. Like, I could sit in it. It was the most uncomfortable thing. My knees, like, there was nowhere for my legs. It was like, I won't go to a concert there again.
Oh, right.
It was the worst.
Hmm.
Oh, Savannah, where's my cat? Where's your cat pizza? I like you're mixing up.
She
the
ordered
tiers.
it. She ordered it over 15 minutes ago. So
Okay. Here we go. Cat pizza. There should be a cat dancing and a cat pizza tier. It's all pizza, so I guess she's not wrong.
yeah,
Hey,
it's both.
Savannah, shout out to you, and also belated birthday shout out. Savannah's one of our patrons, and we are deeply grateful. She's also a cat dancer who likes pizza, because she supports the show at our cat dancer tier on patreon.com/Grawlix podcast. You notice how the shout out for our patrons is really just a promotion for us.
That too, yeah. But we couldn't do it without you because it does help us with website hosting and all the fees that go into podcasting. Because aside from Patreon, podcasting does not make you money
No.
at all.
No, it doesn't. and there's definitely Savannah money has gone to the podcast hosting fees. Like it has
I'm
kept the
certain of
show
that.
up at times for sure.
Yeah.
Not that you have to be a cat dancer, because we use monies from other Patreon subscribers also that can't afford the cat dancing tier, but that's okay. For just $1 you can get some pizza and help support us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Savannah, we have to mention her because she's at the cat dancing tier. So
That is correct.
And she does
And-
have access to a hot slice of the It's All Pizza back catalog of pre-shows, post-shows, bonus shows. There's some stuff in there. There's
oh yeah, 60 plus episodes, and some random one-off stuff that we do once in a while. I think there's a couple live streams in there that we did like before we started doing live streams that are only posted in there.
right.
Obviously not if I'm paying. To be fair, like we've just sat here and talked to Savannah this whole episode anyway, so it's like she's gonna get a
It's
shout
like
out.
she's got a live Zoom here. Is what
So
she's
basically, right, we're just gonna set up a Zoom call straight to Savannah, and that's gonna be the show
got.
from now on.
Pretty soon that will be the show, and and you'll only find it on Patreon.
You'll only find it on Patreon or Savannah's computer.
Right.
I was just gonna say, you know what comes with the birth of Savannah? Springtime. It's spring.
It is spring now.
So
That's why my
so-
nose doesn't work anymore.
Yep. I'm so glad winter's over, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a nice spring tease for almost a week, and then it got cold again. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know what it was like today. I slept all day.
It was kind of dreary today, but not as cold as it's been. Like
That's
yesterday
why
was
I
a lot
slept.
colder.
That's
It was
what it
gross and windy.
Well, here's what we're going to talk about 15 minutes later. Here's what we're going to talk about tonight. We got a couple news stories. I mentioned that, and what we've been watching. So let's jump into what we've been watching, because there's a few things, including some things that we watched weeks ago that I wanted to mention on the show, and now is the time to do it. Savannah wants to go to the mountains. It's just a statement.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I'll mention this one first off because it's a thing we've already mentioned somewhat recently. But Melanie and I are still watching Raised by Wolves 2, as it's been labeled, but it's season 2. And I think, man, I swear there's maybe one episode left. unless they wanted to end it with the episode we watched most recently, which I hope not. But it's a good show. It's weird. It continues to be weirder and weirder. I think like first season was pretty weird. This season, in a way, more weird.
I would agree. And I recommend.
Okay, so sorry, what?
I said, and I recommend.
Yeah, I mean, we won't go on about it. Like, it's kind of a weird, like, it's like hard sci-fi, but not really hard sci-fi because it doesn't get into the details of like explaining the science behind anything. It's more like.
So it's like old school sci-fi where it's just like, here's a ridiculous concept, a planet that's completely populated by ape people, and the humans are not able to speak.
Right. I say hard sci-fi, but I'm using it wrong because it's not. It's just weird sci-fi. There's like ancient robots that can like regrow themselves. So it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's.
And there's other
strange.
things that are spoilers. I won't get into it, but it's got interesting takes on like their version of religion. It's not Christianity, but it's clearly kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
It gets into the weird like origins of that in a sci-fi way, and also like the origins of humans. So the show is partially like, I don't know if it was co-created or just produced by Ridley Scott, and he did, some of the alien stuff, right? Including Prometheus, which
was also weird. Yeah.
Which is weird and kind of gets up its own butt about like the origins of like humans, and it's got weird robots and weird aliens. This feels like if he separated, and I don't know how much he actually had to do with the story. Maybe he's just like, hey, you seen that movie? Write me something. Take the aliens out and make that into a series. It's very much that kind of thing. It follows themes of just weird stuff, like where androids and humans supposedly are kind of like, I don't know. It's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like the religious sect doesn't believe in using androids, right? Or something like that. I mean, I've only seen a couple episodes, but like, it's like the whole purpose of the setup of the show is like, oh, we'll send them to this planet because then we can let these androids raise these kids.
Right.
And that's not okay.
Yeah, because there's the world,
religion.
The Earth is like kind of ruined by a big war between the atheists and the Mithric, whatever, the religious people. Which are right there. It's just like, oh okay, loaded premise, but sure.
But I think it was not so much that the religious people wouldn't use the robots, because they did. In fact, I'm pretty sure they used them in much worse ways.
Oh yeah, in fact, they have a robot when they show up.
Right,
that's right.
I think it's more like they're very like, this is a tool and we don't get attached to them and stuff like that. And maybe the atheists were less that way and more like life can be whatever we want it to be or something of that nature.
Right. Yeah, so that's the basis. But then like Prometheus, it gets into like, but what if there were ancient robots and ancient humans that evolved or devolved?
It's aliens.
There's aliens. There's acid sea fish people. There's, it's so strange, but very entertaining. And I know I talked about this when we talked about the first season, but I love exploring the idea of like androids developing emotions. And that plays a lot into the season again. So pretty cool.
Yep.
It definitely leans hard into the like, it's not magical. It's just advanced science to where it's like insane supernatural stuff happens. And it's like, nope, it's just advanced science. It's like, no, that's crazy. What are you talking about?
They're going Marvel Thor on this, huh?
Kinda.
Are they gods or are they just aliens that are really advanced?
Whoa. I'm not gonna say kinda. I'm gonna say very much, and I'm not gonna go any further. But yeah, it definitely plays into that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect to go that far into that show, but yeah, there you go. Raised by Wolves, HBO Max. Apparently, was doing well enough to get a second season. That's a show I didn't expect to come back.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
If this was on another streaming service, it probably wouldn't have.
No, they wouldn't have given it a chance, despite its popularity.
Speaking, Jesse,
Yes.
what you got? You got anything you've been watching?
Oh,
consuming stuff?
yeah. Let's throw it into a weird direction because there's been a fair amount of news about this individual lately, and that is I watched Willy's Wonderland. I think that's what it's called, right? So it's Nicolas Cage, and he doesn't say anything.
Not a word.
He says no words in this movie, and it's basically Five Nights at Freddy, but without anything that's Five Nights at Freddy. And it's basically evil showbiz pizza, right?
Right.
And it's just, I mean, like that's the whole premise of the show is basically there's this town that has made a pact with this evil pizza joint, and or whatever.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right.
I'm sorry, guys, if I'm spoiling this, but like this is the premise of the whole show, is that they've made this pact with a pizza place or a hot dog place or whatever it is, and it's basically Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz Pizza that's gone awry, that it has a dark past, right? And and they have this whole setup where they have people get stuck in town, and then those people are forced to spend the night in this this basically haunted place, and they are typically never seen from again until Nick Cage, who drinks way too much energy drink, says no words, really likes pinball, like really, and man, he is efficient. He will clean things up and mess things up very quickly. It was amazing.
Really?
I loved it. I was like, I mean, it's Nicolas Cage. I'm definitely going to give it a shot. I don't have huge expectations for this. And then I was like, wait, this is what's happening? This is crazy and incredible. Like the acting in it is not good, except for Nicolas Cage. Like this may be one of my favorite roles that he's ever done, and he's done some great roles.
Audio listeners, you miss so much if you don't check out the videos. Like, okay, it is kind of amazing that he has no dialogue, but he's still pure Nicolas Cage.
Yep.
Pure Nicolas Cage. I think I would like if they separated everything that wasn't the Nicolas Cage parts, pulled the rest of the crap out of the movie. I would have liked it a lot more. The problem is, anytime it went to other characters that weren't Nicolas Cage, it was just like a low budget B grade movie, and that can work sometimes. But in this case, I feel like it didn't. But it was entertaining. I did like that he was so committed to his breaks that when other people are there getting attacked, and he shows up and he's like awesome for whatever reason, he can fight these things. If the thing is about to kill one of the other characters and his timer goes off for a break, he'll drop everything and leave him to die to go get his break.
Yeah. He might hand them the gun, but that's it.
That's it. He's still gonna go drink his energy drink and play his pinball. He spent all night cleaning that machine up,
Yeah. He spent the first couple breaks just getting it ready, painstakingly, lovingly.
It almost seemed like that's what he does. Like he just goes around and fights evil silently or something.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't address it really.
But like he doesn't want to. That's not his goal.
Yeah.
He just happens into these situations, right? Like that's the character I'm reading.
Yeah, and like you needed those other characters, but they were not well acted, and the script is so garbage. It's so ridiculous. Like they tried to create this backstory and lore and give each of the like animatronics like some kind of story. Like the one was just like, I don't want to hurt you. I'm weird like you. I'm not like the others. We could be friends. But really, I just want to kill you too, just like everybody else is like, don't do it, kid. Stay in that thing you're hiding in, or whatever.
I think that's my whole. This the script is terrible, and it could have been better. It could have still been campy, but it could have been better, and it was bad. And I think maybe the only reason the Nicolas Cage stuff works is because there's no dialogue. No dialogue for him.
Right. It's fascinating because of that too.
It's very much. It's just the same thing, just like cleaning up until one of the things wakes up and attacks him. Murder the thing. Time for break. Over and over. Like that's intentionally like the repetition there. And that's fine. That works. I wish they would have played up like the things coming to life more, because when the first attack happens, it's just this stupid bird animatronic creature or whatever, ostrich or something, turkey, and it's just like, whoa, and it's just there and it just attacks. And it's like, that's it? That's your big lead up?
But also it's like that it's that fast too. Like I love that first encounter because it's just like, well, I'm gonna kill you or something. It's like super duper dorky. And so Nick Cage just I mean, spoilers, but he annihilates it in just no time flat. Then thinks nothing of it and goes right back to work.
Yeah. No reaction to the fact that a robotic thing just came to life and tried to murder him.
Other than he needs a new shirt now.
He's like a supernatural fighter in that too. Yeah. In that like he at certain points he can like rip these things apart with his hands. Like he's just like for no reason amazing at fighting these things. But he has no reaction to it. He's just like, that's part of the job, I guess.
Maybe he's the chosen one. You think?
Yeah. He's like, yeah.
I think we're in good hands then.
Maybe. I didn't really get into. If anything, I got kind of he doesn't seem like a good guy.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Who says
make
the
sure
chosen
you're
one
stocked up
has
on
to be
energy
a good
drinks?
guy?
And
If you can't be a good guy, be an awesome guy.
okay, fair point.
If you can't be good, be awesome.
Fair point.
So, I mean, like, why is that like relevant or timely? There was that article that just came out that was like Nick Cage just paid off all of his debts or whatever because he did all of these VOD movies like this. I'm assuming, and and it's like he's like, I never phoned it in. I always I always acted the crap out of it, and it was like, well, you can't claim that he didn't. He's never been accused of underacting. That's for sure.
The quote should have been, I overacted every role.
I overacted everything. That's why you come to a Nick Cage production, and that's what I delivered.
Right. Yeah, that's in facebook.com/group/Grawlix podcast. I think we posted a link to that article. Yeah. I like that he's straight up like, I owed a lot of money. Because he blew like millions of dollars on tax, and this is not necessarily new, but it's just like, I guess following up on, he got out of his millions of dollars worth of debt to the IRS by cranking out these direct-to-video and direct-to-video on demand movies. Because
I think he said he was doing like 4 movies a year, approximately.
Right.
I believe it, considering what how many just seem to just keep coming out.
And
But
there is, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, but it's a good thing in my opinion, because that's also what led him into some of the best movies I think that I've seen of him, like Mandy and Color of Space and other things like that.
Right. Because some of those, he did several, and Mom and Dad, like, I don't know if he counts that as one of them, but Mom and Dad was a good movie. Not a great movie, but an entertaining movie. And that did kind of like start him into a path of like the lower budget horror movies, including some not so good ones. What was that one with the kid that disappeared or whatever? I think Jesse, you might have watched it.
What was that called? Yeah. I watched it for our last Cage.
Yeah,
our last Cage match or whatever we called it. Nick Cage was the villain, or Nick Cage was the monster of the week.
We're gonna have to. We'll have to do more Cage matches. That was actually fun.
I have never been disappointed by a Nick Cage themed episode. There's always something new that I discover because of it.
Well, I've trashed his acting in the past. I think
As have
think
I. I've gotten a new appreciation for him.
He's got to be. He has to be in the right movie or come to the movie with the right mindset. I've heard good things about Pig, and that looks like more of a downplayed drama.
Right.
I'm
excited about the new one, which basically is parodying his entire, debt situation anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it. It's Nicolas Cage as Nicolas Cage in a ridiculous scenario. I want to see it. The unbearable weight of
talent or something.
It's
got
perfect
Pedro
title
Pascal in it too. I mean, it's gonna be so much fun.
Well,
did you see the other article where he wants to host Saturday Night Live, but not host Saturday Night Live? He wants to host Saturday Night Live as was it Andy Samberg who plays him on the weekly update. Like there was that one time where Nicolas Cage actually came on, and then they both played Nicolas Cage, and so he wants Andy Samberg to do his opening monologue.
How has SNL not jumped on that yet?
I don't know.
If he's got interest,
do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. He could have easily fallen into the either not acknowledge, and he kind of doesn't acknowledge, which is kind of the thing also, but easily or got offended or irritated by people's fascination with him and the qualities that people point out to as to why they're fascinated with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that he's goth, you mean?
I forgot about. I'm goth now.
I'm goth.
I'm a goth. He's got a crow. I've got a crow. Crows are pretty cool. I'm a goth.
I'm a goth now.
You know he says things because he knows, right? He knows how ridiculous it is.
He knows how this works, man. He's figured it out.
He's embraced it, right? He's smartly
even
embraced
said
it.
in interviews for when he did the noir Spider-Man for Into the Spider-Verse, he's like, "Oh, so you want full Nick Cage?" You want me to go full Nick Cage on this, so he knows.
That's fun.
I love that he used that terminology exactly, or precisely. That's
right.
Well, that'll segue into another article real quick. I know we're jumping around, but because we got more Nick Cage. This is just a short one, and if it wasn't Nick Cage, I might skip over it, but it's Nick Cage. But he says, this is according to IndieWire.com, probably based on a GQ interview that Cage did. Nicolas Cage says he doesn't understand the conflict over masterful Marvel movies versus art films. Basically, Francis Ford Coppola, super famous director Francis Ford Coppola, also his uncle, took the Marty Scorsese route and dogged on the big Marvel comic book movies, and basically said they're, what did he say? Let me jump through. Francis Ford Coppola had said, what was it?
I'm gonna guess.
He slammed comic book films as, quote, one prototype movie that is made over and over and over and over and over again to look different, end quote. Basically, it's just one style of movie or one type of movie that they're just making over and over again.
It's a genre film.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, arguably, if you wanted to be a D-bag, you could say that about horror movies. You could say that about drama movies.
Right.
It's a type of movie that people
you could
just
say that about
the
hero's journey.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what, and so I was going to say, I'm going to guess it was something about it being very formulaic, because it is, but that's kind of how they are,
Right. Well, Nicolas Cage doesn't agree.
Mm-hmm.
So it's because he wants to come back and be Ghost Rider again.
He was asked about this, and he says he doesn't understand the conflict. He's like, yeah, why did they do that? I don't understand the conflict. I don't agree with them on that perception or opinion. Wait. I don't understand the conflict. I don't agree with them on that perception. or opinion.
It's an interesting dynamic you're coming up here with. But no.
He says, I think the movies that I make, like Pig or Joe, are not in any kind of conflict with Marvel movies. I mean, I don't think the Marvel movie had anything to do with the end of the tweener. By tweener, I mean the $30 to $50 million budget movie. I think movies are in good shape. If you look at Power of the Dog, or if you look at Spencer, or any of Megan Ellison's movies, I think they're still Paul Thomas Anderson. Marvel has done a really excellent job at entertaining the whole family. They put a lot of thought into it. I mean, it's definitely had a big progression from when I was doing the first two Ghost Rider movies. Kevin Feige, or whoever is behind that machine, has found a masterful way of weaving the stories together and interconnecting all the characters. What could be wrong with wholesome entertainment that is appealing to the parents and the children and gives people something to look forward to? I don't see what the issue is. And at some other point he said, he did, okay, no. And then it kind of derails because there must not be more. But basically he's like, yeah, he'd do it. Of course he would.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, he is a little biased. He's been in, like, he was going to be in Superman. He was in those Ghost Rider movies. He was the voice of Superman in the Teen Titans Go movie.
Well, and he's famously a huge comic book nerd. Like, he's a big collector. Well, he collects everything, which is why he ended up doing straight to video movies for several years. But
wasn't he going to name his kid Kal-El, or
he did name his kid Kal-El?
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so he's a huge. So he's of course
a little biased,
of course, but
that's not Marvel. That's DC. Come on,
right?
He could also I could see him being potentially pretentious and be like, oh no, I only do real film. we see Ghost Rider and all the other movies you've done.
I didn't know that he was related to Coppola. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think his real name is Nicholas Ford Coppola, and he changed it so that he.
He changed.
You
it
know
from
what
Coppola.
would have more snap? Cage. Let's go with that.
I'm like a goth. I'm like a Nick in a cage.
Yeah. Let's axe the K. We'll just go Nick, like Bic pens.
Nick Cage.
It really rings.
Okay, so let's jump back to what we've been watching real quick, because if I'd have thought about it earlier enough, I'd have a graphic. It's Watiti Watch. Hashtag Watiti Watch.
Oh, yes.
Because wasn't it a thing? So there's a newer show. Well, new. They just had their season finale. We haven't watched it yet. It just aired today, I think. It went on HBO Max, called Our Flag Means Death. And it's not the best Watiti thing ever, but I kind of love it. It's a pirate show placed in pirate times, but everyone acts very modern. It's very anachronistic in that respect. And so, for example, they get a lot of mileage out of, and keep in mind, we're also following not bad. They're not good pirates. They're just crappy pirates. But there's a lot of mileage out of pirates acting overly sensitive, and it's ridiculous. And we were watching, and Melanie's like, I don't even think they need to do better advertising. I don't even think I heard of this. And I was like, this might have been one of the many Watiti projects that we reported 2 years ago or something, because there was it became a running gag
about it. Yeah.
Every week there'd be 4 new projects associated with him, shortly after Thor. He just was huge. And then I was like, I think we reported on just a bulk of stuff. Don't remember any of it. And then it just all spent, COVID happened, but it all just spent 2 years in production, and they're finally coming out. I think this is one of them, because I didn't know what this was when I seen it pop up there. And I was like, wait, Waititi's involved in that? And if the first episode, maybe 2, he's not really around, right?
Right.
And I was a little on the fence. I was like, I appreciate what they're doing, especially after the first. I feel like the first episode's maybe the weakest because it also has another, like, the kind of main character up to a certain point. They do the, like, it's funny because he's totally inept and kind of dumb. And I was like, oh, it's The Office or countless other comedy trope. And I don't really like that. It feels kind of lazy to me. But there's other decent comedy to prop it up. But then Taika Waititi comes in, and I'd say he's the other lead of the show, which I was not expecting him to have such a prominent role as a very unexpected character. And it totally made it for me. Like, the dynamic he creates, I kind of loved it. So, yeah.
I would say it has a very similar feel to What We Do in the Shadows, only not. Like, it's like completely different, but still that same. It's like out of place.
Yes.
Kind of, yeah, whimsical. I don't know. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't feel like it's as strong as What We Do in the Shadows, but it does have the same quality as What We Do in the Shadows works so well is because it's like taking vampires, and they're very much vampires of their time, right? But then having them behave in ways that you wouldn't expect and putting them in like modern world and dealing with that. This is like taking pirates and then just applying, we're not taking them out of their pirate world. They exist in a pirate world in that time frame, but applying modern world sensibilities to their actions. It works in the same premise, but like just kind of handled differently. It's good. And
It is good.
most of the pirate characters are super, like, I think there's only one I didn't really care for. I like them. They're all very likable or entertaining and offbeat, and it's good. It's a really good show. I was very surprised by it.
It's almost like self-aware historical figures.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, they talk so, like, they'll use modern slang. There's a lot of it's very open. They're very open. Of course, that's not necessarily a modern thing, but they're very open with their sexuality, and like it's just so weird. It takes such a weird turn once in a while. You're just like, whoa, okay, we're doing this, cool. Yeah,
It's got some strong female characters too, and I appreciate that.
Ooh, yeah, good.
yeah.
What can we watch this on? Where do you find this one?
Oh, not on Netflix, because
Not on Netflix?
Who knows if they would have? No, it's
So
on,
they're getting a season 2, is what you're saying?
I hope so. If it was on Netflix, probably not. Yeah, it's on HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
HBO Max. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. You gotta support everything Watiti does, because somehow, the more involved he is in it, even like I did not expect him to like be playing a lead role. If anything, when he pops up, I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's gonna be a cameo. He's gonna be in here for an episode. He's the rest of the season. Spoilers. He's in the rest he's in every episode after that. Like, it's so good. Also, and even though it's comedy, like, he's legitimately good. Like, he gets to show off range.
Huh.
And I always, like, I think of him like, yeah, he's funny. You
Right.
know.
Usually plays something kind of bombastic or self-deprecating.
Yeah, and quirky, and like,
Yeah.
and he does that too, but he also gets to be intimidating and scary. Like, he played like a villain in Free Guy, but
Right.
I was on the
It
fence
was
about
kind
it.
of, yeah, he was like
It was a little
not
much.
good at it. You know, he
Right.
was just like, okay, somehow he's in charge.
And in this, he gets to play a bad guy, kinda, and he legitimately seems like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I'd be intimidated by that guy. I would not like to hang out with that sometimes. Other times he seems fun, so. Anyway, I just had to praise that for a while. I don't know if people are watching it. Go watch it. Make sure it gets another season. Or not. I haven't seen the season finale. Maybe it's a one and done. I don't know.
Speaking of things that we can praise, pick a thing. I don't know.
You got something else, Jesse?
Oh, I did. Well, yeah, I don't know how far we want to go, but
Doesn't
Adam
matter.
Project. Adam Project's
Oh,
the
right.
only
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
thing I really watched. And you know, I liked it, but I also feel a certain way about these projects that that Ryan Reynolds has done for Netflix. Like Red Notice. Everybody loved. Did you guys watch Red Notice?
Uh-uh.
With The
No.
Rock?
No.
Like people loved this thing. And it was like, okay, it was all right, but it was like so over the top and campy. And yeah, they work well within that context. Like these actors can embrace that, but also it's like it wasn't as well, it's not as well written as a lot of other projects that these people have done. So I don't totally understand the love. It feels like a B grade movie with A-list stars.
Is it getting a lot of love? Like, I was a little surprised because we watched this too, and I was a little surprised when I went to log it on Letterboxd. I usually scope through the reviews when I'm logging it to see what other people like the general. I was kind of surprised at. I mean, a lot of people put it around 3 stars. I think. I mean, that's the average, like right in the middle.
I think
That
that's
seems-
reasonable. I do
that
think
seems
that's
fair.
reasonable. Yeah.
But reading through some of the reviews, I was like, I didn't expect quite as much of the hate for it. Like, there's a lot of
really?
negative reviews.
I didn't-
And yeah,
I love Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, he's amazing. I will admit that this is not maybe one of his better movies, but I didn't think it was bad at all.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, actually. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it way more than I thought. And I think part of it is the premise.
hmm
That kid pulled it off, man. Like
Right.
I actually at certain points was like, man, they really cast this well. I don't know if they cast it as well as that kid just acted so like he did it. Like he cracked the Ryan Reynolds like kind of quippy, fast speech cadence code.
I was talking to Melanie about this last night, but one of the things I seen in the review, because we were talking about Ryan Reynolds, because we do, because someone's infatuated.
Randy,
Well.
come on.
Sorry,
There are other actors out there.
I love me some Van Wilder. Okay, somebody like a reoccurring thing, and in particular, one review was like, "This is like the 7th movie I've seen Ryan Reynolds just be Deadpool in this scenario." And given that
That's
Given
funny
that-
because like he's a character actor. It's the same thing as Nick Cage. It's like some people can get away with it. Apparently Ryan Reynolds can't.
given that my criticism of Ryan Reynolds is that he's always just been Van Wilder since Van
Right.
Wilder, and it's true. But in this case, I feel like it doesn't apply to this movie. The kid is doing Van Wilder the whole movie. Ryan Reynolds is doing grumpy old version, like basically future gone wrong version, and he's not particularly happy. He cracks
Right.
a few jokes, but like he plays a very grumpy version of Ryan Reynolds, and I was like, he's not as fun, but that's kind of intentional.
He punches his dad in the face because he won't stop talking. It was like, dude, that's your thing. Where do you think you got it?
I feel like the Van Wilder Deadpool, in terms of Ryan Reynolds' performance itself, for most of the movie, was very downplayed. Of course, slight spoilers at the end, things might turn out okay. When his spirit has been lifted a bit, then it's full Van Wilder, like
Right.
just in that little end bit. But no, I thought he was fine. Yeah, and there's moments where he was upset. He put out some range, and he's capable actor.
Yeah.
I just, it seemed like this movie of all movies, like there's a million movies you can throw that complaint at, but I felt like it wasn't as prominent in this one. It is interesting thinking. I wonder, they had a budget. It looked pretty nice. The digital de-aging thing they did to the one lady in this, not good, not good.
No. Some uncanny valley there, yeah.
Real bad. But otherwise it looked good, but I wonder, it feels like it was very limited in its settings. It feels like there's just a handful of places it went. So I wonder if they kept budget low that way, or maybe budget wasn't low. I don't know.
Well, maybe Netflix is having budget problems because they were losing money just consistently, weren't they, for the last couple of years?
You hire a bunch of A-listers to make random projects for you.
Well, then they just recently announced that they're gonna raise it, raising the rates again. That they're really cracking down on people sharing passwords because because all that lost revenue. And then their talking point for that is, well, we just want to make sure that we are getting, getting the money to fund the projects that people want and expect from Netflix. It's like, no,
Why Netflix? So you can tease us with
Cancel
it
it.
and then cancel it.
yeah,
Or maybe I would rather put it, if I were them, I would say, so we don't have to cancel all your favorite projects and shows, That would be a
Right.
better
Be
way
like,
to say it.
yeah.
Give us-
Yes, you do it anyway.
We need to make sure we get money so that we can keep your shows going instead of, having to cancel everything and let Disney take all our money, or HBO or whatever,
If they really wanted to soften the blow, what they could have said was, we need this money so we can fund another season of Glow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all would be forgiven.
I have been a Netflix defender, I would say, for a long time. I remember several times throughout the 8 years, and I won't keep mentioning that every episode, that we've been doing the show. It's like, up to a certain point, yeah, I'll pay Netflix more. It's fine.
Sure.
They're giving me the value.
Right.
But now they're teasing me with the value and then taking it away once I'm invested. Because I guess we're going to do this. Let's react at the news again.
Oh,
Archive 81 canceled by Netflix after one season. What? Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
I might be done with you.
this was a top to bottom. I mean, like, I still haven't finished the first season, but like, based on the episodes I've seen, it's top to bottom good production on this show. Like,
Yeah.
sound production, good acting, good storytelling, whatever's going on in this show has me invested.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm used to how Netflix does, if I hadn't have seen the attention the show got for a bit, I would have just been like, this seems like it could be a one season and then it's not coming back.
Right.
And slight spoilers, if you haven't finished it, they set up another season. Well, it's not coming back, and the reason I think that upsets me so much is because it actually hit their trending list, their top 10 list.
Yeah.
It got some traction. It seemed like I'd heard people actually talking about it. They've renewed shows I've heard no one talk about, so I was like, oh, well, this seems like a shoe-in.
Right.
But it wasn't. So it's a combination of this and then, like, canceling Glow. It really is kind of Glow's the go-to.
Yeah.
A show that was popular. They were filming the next season and they still pulled the plug on it. I'm done defending, man. It's too irritating. It's too irritating because, yeah, they do some good stuff. And I know a lot of people dog on the quality of the Netflix originals. Between their originals and then the originals they pick up from foreign countries, like, there's some good stuff to watch. But
Yeah,
man,
Squid
like,
Games was awesome.
yeah, I don't want to get invested in something that's just going to get canceled partway through. It's before we were streaming, Jesse, you were saying it's like Swamp Thing.
Right.
It's like you start watching it, or you don't. They announce it's canceled before it even starts airing, and it's like, well, why should I waste my time then if it's not going to
Yeah.
go anywhere?
Or there's definitely no impetus for me to get finished with it in any kind of timely fashion, because whatever's there is all I've got. So I might as well
Right.
ration it out.
Right, it's got to last me.
Right.
I
The
will
show's actually good. I gotta keep a few.
I will still defend Netflix though, because like for every other streaming service, if I go there, I'm going there because I'm like, oh, there's a good show I want to watch. I'll go there and watch that show. I would never really get on any of those other services and just look for some crap to watch for a minute. And Netflix is great for that. That's what they're best at, in my opinion. Is just they've got so much stuff. There's gonna be something that's decent enough, and it's not gonna annoy me, and I can watch it. Most other places don't have that. They have stuff, but it's stuff that I hate. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Or it's specifically curated
Yeah,
towards a certain
yeah.
demographic
Right, like-
or something.
I mean, like Hulu carries a lot of network stuff, but like they definitely have a lot of stuff geared towards the casual TV viewer. Amazon's
Amazon's
know.
weird.
weird. They're all
Yeah.
over the place, but also like it's hard to find some stuff on there sometimes because they've got so much crap mixed in there, and half of it you can't just watch if you have a Prime account. It's all that. It's like Hulu. Like they've got a bunch of stuff that's like, oh, with the Showtime upgrade or the whatever upgrade. It's like, no, no, no.
Right.
I don't want none of that. Disney Plus, you know, if I had kids, there'd be tons of stuff I'd want to watch on there, but I don't. So
Fuzz Bucket.
Fuzz Bucket. Even HBO Max, like, that's why I think our Flag Means Death surprised me a bit, because I'd never go on there to see like, well, what's the new originals? Because I don't know, like there's not a lot, right? Like there's some stuff, but there's a bunch of stuff I don't care for, or doesn't look interesting.
For HBO, it's usually like they have one or two maybe big shows that everybody's watching, and then now movies that come out.
Same thing with Disney Plus. That's basically what they have going, is that they have whatever's another cool show kind of just on the horizon to keep you subscribing. So like what Moon Knight is coming out here at the end of the month for Disney Plus. So it's like,
whatever the next Marvel or Star Wars property is.
Right. Yeah.
Outside of
they
that,
have really
there's literally
been
nothing I'm
ping-ponging,
interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with HBO. HBO, I am going to say that HBO's doing a better job with the original content kind of stuff.
Right.
Like Netflix, but they aren't there yet with their robust catalog that Melanie was talking about.
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of where I think where Netflix gets the reputation for just pumping out crap. And I don't think they do, but that's the reputation they get because and I get it. That costs a lot of money to build up that kind of catalog of originals. Like that costs so much money. And they're not the big fish in the pond at this point, so they can't just throw money at it. But I do recall when they were transitioning into original stuff, complaining that like they've got a few good originals, but like where's all the other shows? They're losing all the movies and the shows. Like they're focusing on originals, but there's not enough there. Years ago, probably on this very show, I remember complaining about that, but they're to the point where it's like, oh no, they have like a good, huge catalog of original stuff. Like Melanie was saying, I will go on there just to see like any interesting new shows I haven't heard of. Especially since they do have a lot of the foreign shows. That's like, they pick up a lot of stuff there, and there's some stuff worth watching in that. We'd started watching, we got a few episodes into We're All Dead or something like that, or We're All Dead, or We're All Dead Here or something. Korean zombie show, placed in a school or something. Mostly takes place in a school. Pretty interesting. I was expecting a comedy when we started it, and it's not really that, but
no, like almost tear jerking a few times.
Right. So like there's a lot of good stuff, but man, they irritate me. They irritate me. That's the whole point. The whole point is like they kind of pushed it to like Archive 81 again. If it weren't the fact that it seemed like they were doing it right, they got views, they were in the top 10 for a while. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't be so upset about it. But it's like, oh well.
You know what Netflix's problem is? They're too good. They make too many good shows, and they can't afford to keep making them all, and so we get angry at them. That's what the problem is. Darn you, Netflix, you're too good.
Well, I feel like they're prioritizing. I worry they're getting cheap though too, and they can. People watch those frickin' cooking shows and the various like slightly different versions of reality shows, because those are dirt cheap to make. They'll literally scrap an entire cast or show and restart if something goes wrong because they can afford to. It doesn't matter. It's cheap. And I know they pay the stand-up, like Dave Chappelle, that's a whole can of worms, but like I know he made a ton of money off of them. But like the stand-up, I know they pump out the stand-up, and I'm sure they have to pay the comedians a lot. But in terms of production, talk about a dirt cheap production.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's a stand-up special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when they do stuff like Tiger King, like half of that show is other people's footage, you know?
Right.
Or news things or whatever. So yeah, they probably really have to pay anything, and it was huge.
Right. Oh yeah. That probably funded a couple of shows.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. And I get like, you know, they've got to figure out how to be profitable, whereas they've never really had to worry about that because they were so gold they could just keep borrowing money forever. And that it hasn't been the case for a long time. But man, come on. Come on, guys.
Does make me worry a little bit about Cobra Kai because Cobra Kai is there just now. So,
I'm a little surprised it's still they've kept it going this long.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm glad, but I mean, at this point, like every show, and that's the thing. Every new show, it's just like it's probably going to be one season. So if I watch it and I like it, I start scoping like, is it popular? Is it popular?
Right.
Will it come back? But I can't even go by that now because Archive 81 seemed like a surprise hit.
Right. Everybody I talked to was like, this show's crazy and good.
But
Everybody that I knew that watched it anyways.
Well, we're just
Maybe-
not.
Maybe they couldn't only afford like one show with effects, and they still got another Stranger Things coming out. So
Right.
Yeah, Stranger Things, the production been dragging on for a while, so.
yeah,
I don't. Okay, this isn't spoilers because the first season does this quite a bit. I feel like if they continued it, there would be a period piece element to it because the first season jumps back to the 90s quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the second season would kind of continue that trend. And period pieces are expensive, even just jumping back to the 90s.
Sure.
Whether they're actually like pulling in all old cars and whatever, or like if they're not in one location, like most of the first season, if they're out in public, that's a lot of, I'm assuming, digital background replacement to make sure all the cars are accurate, the landmarks look right, because things have changed. Excuse me. And Glow, I feel like, is probably another that could have been another element to the cost of something like Glow, which took place in the 80s. Period pieces are expensive. They got to save up their money for Witchers and
Right.
what else is like fantasy or period pieces that like whatever weird British period drama is currently going. Whatever. They could get like, they have to scrap an 80s and a 90s show in order to afford a 1840s or a 1950s. Like, it costs money. Anyway, we all got the coughs. I had to mute. I'm not saying I got the big sickness this last week, but there were a couple days I had no taste and no smell, so I don't know.
Oh.
I never got tested,
Oh, yeah.
but
I
I'm
don't think
okay.
anyone's getting tested anymore or wearing masks. Nobody cares. We're all going to die.
well, I mean, eventually, sure.
Well, if it had gotten real bad, I'd been like, ugh, I should get a test or maybe go to the hospital.
Right.
I actually canceled a doctor's appointment I had randomly during it because I was like, it sucks. It's kind of bad. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's not that bad for me. I'm not saying it's not that bad, but for me, I think it's a combination of the vax and booster, but also I think my blood, a couple of members of my family have gotten it, and including my mom, who like that was a huge worry, and she'd had a vaccine and at least one or two boosters. She got it and was okay.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple of
Good.
members of my family had got it, including one of my sisters who got it before the vaccines were coming out or widely available, and was relatively okay. So I think some people just might be more immune. So maybe like the vaccine was nothing. I've had worse other vaccines. Like the vaccine was fine on me. So maybe I'm just wasn't as prone to it as I was
I
worried
remember
I was
you
gonna
saying
be.
that the flu shot floored you a few times.
The
Yeah.
pneumonia shot. Oh, I hope to never get one like that again. That was the worst. That caused me problems for like weeks. Like pain that I couldn't sleep. It was awful.
The COVID shot messed me up a little bit, especially
Yeah.
like my arm. The arm that I got it in was messed up for a really long time. But then again, I think the guy was mad because I came in like right before close, and he says I didn't have an appointment, but I know I did, and I'm pretty sure he gave me a shot in a bad place that was too high up and too close to my bone. But whatever.
Maybe he needs a different job. Man, I feel like we don't have time to talk about We also watch Dune and The Boys animated show. Which, if you're curious real quick about The Boys presents Diabolical. Speaking of random shows on, that was a show I was like, that's a weird, The Boys? That's a weird thing to like, hey, cartoon spinoff. Totally worth watching, I feel. I enjoyed it. Every episode is a different story, short story, different animator. Like, one of the episodes is totally a Rick and Morty style. Like, they bring on different people to do each episode. So they're hit and miss a little, but otherwise pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The first episode does like a classic cartoon, like old, like, it's not like Mr. Magoo, but where they set up a premise. Also, it's kind of like a heart-touching story even, but they set up a premise where, like, a baby, like, you got to chase after a baby and all crazy things are happening. Like, it's old cartoon style. And Melanie and I recently tried, just like once or twice, this Netflix show, interactive game show thing that's like an old cartoon, old style cartoon, like Tom and Jerry style a little bit, where you're like it's Cat Burglar, and you got to answer trivia questions, and if you get so many wrong, then like the cat dies, and then you start over from a certain spot. Your Cat Burglar character. It was okay. The first episode of The Boys takes that same like era of cartoons and nails it so much better. So much better.
Super gory though. The whole series. Super
very
gory.
Gory including
cartoon.
that first one. So
yeah.
It's a weird but fun like addition to the Boys universe. If you enjoyed the Boys series, check it out.
Does it feel like, how's it stack with like Invincible in terms of gore? Is it more gory than Invincible? Or...
I'd say yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I'd say potentially yeah, because like
no,
that
yeah,
first
definitely.
one, which I think is maybe like the most heartwarming one, and it's like the other ones are like different animation style, but the first one is specifically like an old cartoon style. The gore is insane. It's insane, even in that one. It's follows one of the babies that has laser eyes, and like she sneezes and it goes off or whatever, and just cuts people down, and it's just it's hardcore. But at the same time, it's cute and heartwarming. It's such a weird juxtaposition. And then some of the other ones also get into like violence, but also like kind of mature themes and stuff. So it's still very adult.
Right.
As is appropriate for the Boys.
Mm-hmm. Can I real quick, just because it's more my thing than your thing, I think, but Dune was beautiful and wonderful. I would suggest reading the books because first of all, the books are always better, but I also think like it seemed to lack a lot of explanation that maybe Randy like enjoys that. He doesn't like things over explained, but I think I would have been slightly confused if I hadn't read the books already. So, and it ends midway through the freaking story. That annoys me, but whatever.
It fully does. It fully ends partway through the story. You're like, okay, well, they are definitely banking on the second one. But I enjoyed it, and I'd watched the David Lynch Dune. I've never read the books. I don't remember much about the story of the David Lynch Dune. And I did have Melanie there to fill me in sometimes, whether I was curious or not, to fill me in on certain things.
Sorry.
But I did appreciate in that the first part, like it clearly has a lot of world building to set up, but it didn't feel cumbersome. Like a lot of times exposition can feel cumbersome, especially if it's some like big book franchise, I guess, book series that it's got to like cram a bunch of info. Like, here's how this world works. There's, different. Game of Thrones would do it where they coined the term sexposition, where it was always like there was lots of exposition, but they'd always do it when there were naked bits going on to keep people's attention. Like, this doesn't do that. But so it does have the exposition, but it doesn't ever feel cumbersome or forced. It's just like, well, sure. It's just like people are gearing up to this. Here's what we got to do. My point is, I felt like the exposition was handled super well. It wasn't cumbersome or over-explained. And if anything, I like, so long as it's not just like bafflingly confusing why things are happening, I kind of like there being some vagueness and mystery.
Mhm.
And this, I feel like, kept enough details to where you could figure it out, but left enough out to where like it's still kind of like, huh, well, fascinating. Like it makes it almost, the omission of certain stuff almost makes it more interesting to me.
Mhm.
Sure.
And
It's
I don't
just
know.
a world, and you're just there.
There's a thing that if you're familiar with the story or familiar with the books, I think you would know that I was not aware of that happens towards the end of the movie that kind of makes it a twist where you're like, oh, like the way they deliver certain things about how the spice works and like the whole premise of that, Melanie felt was underexplained, but for me, I kind of felt like intentionally they held things back or left it unexplained so that when you got to a certain point in the movie, that revelation or that realization, and they leave it to you to realize what's going on. They don't really force it down your throat. Almost feels like a twist, which is cool. And that's another thing. It didn't feel like it was over-explained because I'm dumb. It felt like they're going to leave certain things for you to figure out. And that, I don't know, it didn't talk down. And it is beautiful. It is a great looking movie.
Mhm.
And Spider-Man girlfriend's there
All right.
a
that's
little
right.
bit. She's
Yeah.
there. She's like in dream sequences for like the almost the entirety of the movie until like the very end when her character actually shows up for real. And you're like, oh, I guess she signed on for the sequel, right?
Yeah.
It's good. It's definitely, it's a long movie, but it didn't feel long, and it's definitely the kind of movie where as soon as it's over, and part of it is because it ended like mid-story, I was like, "Where's the sequel? I want it. I want to
Yeah.
watch this."
Yeah. I think the only question you ever asked, even though I gave you way more information than you wanted, was why are they playing bagpipes?
The bagpipes, because it's like the most, it's distinctly an Earth thing. Everything else is like, okay, nothing of this seems real earthly. Like their clothes, the technology for sure. Like it seems that's definitely very alien or other galaxy type tech. Except there's bagpipes. You're like, that's an Earth thing. What is that?
That takes you out of it. Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit, it
I
did.
can see that. I can see that.
There was a lot of hype for it, and I'd say it was. Have the Oscars happened yet? Has that movie won all the Oscars yet? It should.
I feel like Oscars had to happen, and like nobody cared this year, though, right?
Yeah, I think the Oscars are dead.
There's people who watch it, that weird people, like same people that watch the Olympics every year. I don't know. I'm neither of those people personally.
Right.
Well, I remember when I was younger, like my dad was always a big movie guy, and so Oscars, yeah, it was a big thing. You make a bunch of popcorn, watch whatever. It's the same with the movie. We'll make a bunch of popcorn, watch a movie. But that was like, well, it wasn't necessarily pre-internet age, but it was pre us having internet. So it was pre like find your movie geek tribe online and gather and talk about movies. It was pre that. And I feel like so Oscars was kind of like movie film geek special occasion, whereas now like that's just any day. Just get on the internet, find the right group or whatever, or
Yeah.
hop on Twitter and find the right people talking about whatever movies or Reddit or whatever. So I don't know.
Ironically, once our movies started to be relevant, that's when that's when the Academy really was like, nah, people don't care what we think anymore.
The geeks won. Let's just give it up.
Yeah, like, all right, Peter Jackson, you made these movies over the course of a decade. I guess we should give you an award for that.
Right.
Not even my favorite part of the trilogy,
What's
but it's more like, okay, you did it. Here we go.
What's Peter Jackson been doing?
I don't think that man needs to do another movie for a while. I mean,
Probably not.
Because he just signs on to these epics, and then it's like he just lives there.
You know what he needs to do? Remake Dead Alive or Brain Dead or whatever the title is.
Oh, yeah.
Which was one of his early movies, and it is a tasteless, disgusting, ridiculous zombie gore fest horror thing. It's really in bad taste. It's not. I'm kind of on the fence if I even like it, But it's got a scene where a dude takes a lawnmower to a like a room full of reanimated corpses, and that's amazing. So here's what he does.
Take everything that he's learned.
He needs to get people hyped for the next big Peter Jackson epic event, and then remake or just like reissue Brain Dead and see what happens. Or Dead Alive.
Slap his name on it, yeah.
Right. That'd be amazing.
Recast the title role with somebody, some Hobbit, like mainstay, somebody like that.
That's it. Don't change the script at all because it's horrible. It's disgusting.
Put Benedict Cumberbatch in the lead role or something like that.
Recast it with the current
Martin Freeman,
AAA list actors.
Yeah,
that'd be so good. Come on. We've seen the movies you made before Lord of the Rings. We know you got it in you, Peter Jackson.
You could do it. You could do it.
Let your horror geek shine. Shock some people. Come on. All right. Also, one more thing in news. This is a super quick one, but kind of speak. We mentioned Mandy already once today, but sci-fi film Necrocosm.
Ooh.
Wow.
In the works from A24 and Mandy director. So A24 is involved. So it's going to be an arty horror film.
Yep. It's going to be
Great.
weird. Yep.
But yeah, the next movie from Panos Cosmatos, or is it Cosmastos? Cosmatos, who did Beyond the Black Rainbow and Mandy. So weird, retro themed. It's a mixture of like B-grade grindhouse horror film sensibilities and art house pretentiousness.
Yeah.
These movies are amazing.
Art house atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use pretentiousness in this respect lovingly.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the Black Rainbow is kind of up its own butt. Mandy
Yeah,
Mandy embraces a little bit more of the grindhouse stuff, but yeah, so there's like no information other than he signed on. It's gonna be called Necrocosm, so it's gonna be great. I don't care. I don't know anything about it. I'm on board.
Mm-hmm.
But he's one of those directors. He's only done 2 movies. It's been like 4 years. He's only done 2 movies since 2010. And they're both bonkers. So he's one of those directors, man. Like, sure, I'm on board with whatever he's
Necrocosm
got
is
coming up.
just a movie about those people that you call with a conch shell.
Oh my god, Mandy has such weird things.
It's so weird.
Because they're so demons, right? But
Right,
then it's like, no, they're just bikers that took too much super strong acid.
Yeah.
What bikers call when what acid is going to make you appear when somebody blows on a supernatural conch shell and you just like, that movie's amazing. It's got some weird stuff.
Right.
Crazy evil.
Dress in pinhead suits is like, how could you see? Like full
And it's got
leather.
the Cheddar Goblin commercial.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
I wonder what else is amazing.
Oh. Just a second, I'll
Oh, I surprised you with the segue.
Yep, hold on. Let's see. I'm sure there's lots of things. There always is. Well, talk amongst yourself, so I lie.
Oh, were we done? I suppose I should have checked to see. Had
No,
we
that
gotten
was
through
right.
everything.
I
Okay.
wanted to blow through that story. The only other news story I had was like a nothing, but it's Jared Leto hints at big Tron 3 news on the horizon. So apparently Jared Leto is a huge fan of the Tron movies.
Oh.
And so he's for years been trying to get Disney to make a new Tron with him involved. Apparently there's a script. Disney has not signed on to it. And apparently randomly over the years when he's doing press interviews, and he's currently doing interviews for Mobius, whatever. That not Disney movie. He'll throw out like trying to get Tron made. So people are like, what? So here's the thing that
Maybe
makes me think.
stop sending people dead rats,
Right.
and claiming that you're being method.
Here's my issue with Leto. Like he's previously stated on several occurrences that and this is from comingsoon.net, that he's playing a character called Ares in the proposed film, and even revealed the film's title as Tron. Ares. Of course.
Wow!
What a D-bag.
He named this after the thing that he would be playing.
Right. What a D-bag.
Sounds great. Is Jeff Bridges involved? I can't imagine he is.
I doubt it.
Then
So,
why would we see it?
I'm not opposed to another Tron. Tron Legacy was a disappointment. I don't remember even what it was that I didn't really care for. But man, the Tron world's just cool. And I did enjoy how they kind of evolved the Tron world, even though some of it doesn't.
I didn't hate
sense.
it. It's just like not really memorable, and it's not really a thing that you have to go back and rewatch. It didn't have a lot of like, I don't know. It was more like a visual. It's like Avatar. You had to watch it once. You were probably mesmerized by it the first time, and then after you had some time to think about it, you were like, that wasn't that great. Like the story wise, like I enjoyed watching all of it, but I don't know that I need to see it again, really.
Right. It didn't. There's some good ideas, but overall the script didn't. It didn't. Whatever. And it did the thing where it clearly set up a sequel that it's like, you're not getting that sequel.
And it was kind of plodding too, like for a franchise that's so built on like these cool visual action sequences. There's some boring stuff in there.
And I know it's a little bit different because it's not necessarily virtual worlds, but I feel like the things that Tron should have done, if they're going to like do the thing where they evolved the virtual world still going and it's evolved, it'd be more interesting to explore that in the way that like Westworld explored how the robots AI evolved.
Sure.
And became more humanistic.
Or even The Matrix, how The Matrix started to evolve.
Right.
And that wasn't flawless, but at least it was interesting.
And of course, this isn't those. Well, Matrix movie. It is a Matrix movie. It's big blockbuster wanting to be a huge franchise thing, but it's not necessarily going to be like cerebral. But it kind of should have been, because they had it's like they jumped forward and they evolved, but didn't explain it. Like, what was it? I remember Melanie's nephew, when he was much younger, watched it, and even he was like, why do the machines need bartenders? Like, yeah. Why do the programs have a bar with bartenders?
Well, yeah, they basically did turn it into the Matrix, didn't they? That's the thing is like the original Tron. It wasn't like, it didn't feel quite like a nuanced world. Really, it felt like these programs were just in there doing their jobs, but there was this conflict, and so that had to be resolved.
And it makes sense, like, to have that, where the original one, they're more basic. They're just programs doing their thing. And there's still things that don't make sense. It's like, well, if they're just programs, like, why is there whatever? And slight hot take, the original one isn't great. I mean, it's great, but it's still, like, hokey. It's still a Disney flick. It's a Disney flick from the 80s, no less. So,
well, it's not hokey. Even, like, one of the better Disney flicks of its time. Right. It's like a cult classic Disney movie.
Right. And it's one of those movies, in my opinion, unlike an Avatar, where it kind of, the world it created exceeds the story that it actually told. Like, it's above that. Yeah. And I feel like that's what Avatar is to a lot of people. But man, I disagree. I'm not wild about the world it created, and I hate the story it told. It's so bland.
Yeah. Right.
Hot take.
Not really.
Suck it, James Cameron. Go make us a good Terminator sequel. You left the franchise, and you might as well just killed it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what's amazing?
That's amazing. That was amazing. Wow, it took a turn.
It did.
So, I don't know if you've heard of the Fermi paradox, but it's basically there should be so many aliens in the universe that there's an abundance of them, but we haven't found any of them. So where are they? Well, some researchers now are saying they're probably right here. If you look at life, at least on the planet, like I don't know what percentage of it, but the vast majority of it is very, very small. So there could be tons of like microbial alien creatures here, and we probably wouldn't know about it because I mean, there's just terrestrial ones that we really know nothing about. And part of the problem is the way that we think about a lot of things where and there's lots of different scientists that talk about this where we always look for like carbon-based life forms and water-based life forms and things like that, but there's no reason to assume that other life would be like us, but that's what we always look for. And it's the same with microbes and stuff. We look for things that are chemically similar to us, and there's no reason for that to be true. So we could be surrounded by alien things, beings, whatever, life constantly, and we just don't know how to look for it. So I find that very comforting, because otherwise the assumption is that there's like steps you have to surpass to achieve, the next step in the evolution to become a intelligent being, and that one of those steps is just so hard that most creatures die. And I would rather it be that we just don't know what we're looking for rather than most things are dead.
What if we're the aliens, man?
Well, I mean, everywhere but here we are, the aliens.
So you're right.
It's good.
So this kind of premise is cool because it is basically the plot of the Hank Green novel, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. And I read these two books like back to back. He did these two books called the Carls. They're the Carls books. And it's just because like this social media presence person like names them Carl kind of thing. But that's kind of where it starts, is like this alien presence shows up on Earth, and it starts really small like that. Like it starts as just, some kind of microscopic entity, and then it becomes like a bacteria, and it's like assimilating into, Earth.
Yeah.
Just step by step by step, but it can do it at an advanced rate. And then eventually it becomes it becomes a consciousness, and it has its, but it's almost like programmed kind of thing. It's almost like a robot, but it's a consciousness. And that's kind of that idea that the aliens could be here and we wouldn't even know it. And it took a long time for it to present itself in a form that anyone noticed.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like it.
Me too.
Yeah.
And it's especially believable to me when we know that there's things like color spectrum.
Right.
And there are animals like birds and bugs and things that see tons of colors around us that we don't even know are there, but that other like birds and bees and flowers give off. They're like communicating with each other like crazy in this whole other world that we are completely blind to. And so, yeah, if that's happening all the time and we know for a fact it is, there's no reason to think that there isn't so much other, things happening in some other ways that we can't detect.
Right.
What if the floaters that we see in our eyes, because we have like dead cells in our eyes or whatever, what if those are not dead cells or whatever that we're seeing? What if we're actually seeing aliens?
Could be. It could be.
Aliens.
We just discovered aliens.
They're so close to our eyes we can't see them.
Or maybe they're living on our eyes.
Or maybe they're in our cells and they're mitochondria. Oh my god!
Oh yeah. Well, it brings us back. Yeah. There we go.
All right. Hey, that was amazing.
That was amazing.
I got nothing else right now. So, thanks everybody for listening. Hey, Jesse, you got anything? Jesse, I might have seen a certain brand new podcast I never heard of with a head of books on it.
Yeah,
What's this? You want to tell people about it?
I am like part of a new podcast called Dimensions, and it's weird. So I don't even know how to I don't know how to pitch it. There's not really a pitch for it yet. It's basically like kind of a weird, almost like it's called Dimensions because it's almost like you found an old radio and you like turn the dial and you might catch a little bit of a something here, and then you turn the dial and you like might catch a little something there, and then there is like a themed topic portion of the show, but then there's it's kind of an arty weird thing. There's
it's
some
a great
poetry.
premise.
There's like the first episode we discussed how fiction kind of fuels inspiration, like and creativity and that kind of thing. And spoilers, it's not coming out yet, but the next one will dive into like religion, and so it's gonna be a weird show, but I think
awesome.
it's cool. It's kind of fun, and scratches a different itch, I guess. So
yeah, that's a great. I must have seen a post on Facebook or something, but yeah, it's a good premise. It definitely caught my eye.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, Jesse's in this?
Right. I'm just one third of it, but like
Where can people hear it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe it's
It's brand new.
it's on Podbean. Well, actually, I think it is on Apple Podcasts now. So I think you can just search for it on Apple Podcasts under Dimensions. But if you do that, unfortunately, you're going to find like a ton of different shows. I did try to.
This is a pet peeve this is a pet peeve I have. I have clients that I'm like, why didn't you search your name first? Nobody's going to find your show. There's so many others. Yeah, somebody didn't do their homework first or didn't care.
Right. Yeah,
we'll have a link.
We should know this. I didn't.
We'll have a link.
I didn't think ahead to that. Because what I was gonna say is, I was gonna farm out my what do you got going on? Paul, who is usually in our chats. He's one of our mainstays, and also very heavily involved in the EMC podcast network.
Yep.
The electronicmediacollective.com. You can find him this weekend at Grand Comic Fest 4, and there's a ton of shows from the Electronic Media Collective going to be there. And one of the things that I thought was cool, and I posted it in the Grawlix Facebook page, not page, but group on Facebook, is that like he interviews a whole bunch of people on his shows, and like a ton of the people who have been on his podcast, notable guests like Larry Houston, who's been involved in animation for years, did that intro sequence that everybody loves and gets stuck in their head from X-Men the animated series. Also the bear, the Zoobly Zoo bear.
Yeah.
Michael B. Moynihan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Billy Peck and Paul do the Zoobly Zoo podcast with him. Mm-hmm. He's going to be there. Like there's a bunch of guests that he's interviewed on his show that are all going to be there. And Billy Peck and Paul are both really heavily involved in the con. So if you are even remotely local, you should go check them out this weekend in Grand Island.
No, that's in Grand Island?
Yep.
Grand Island,
pick up
in Nebraska.
Yep, pick up an EMC flyer.
Yeah,
Paul had some printed off. I designed up one, and he printed off. It looks slick. Pick one up, put it on your wall.
And then
tell your friends.
Corey and Mikey from, was it Pop Culture Power Hour? Is that right?
Yeah, Retro Renegades Pop Culture Power Hour.
Those guys will be there running some panels and probably have a table too. I mean, lots of stuff to see there.
I'm not sure if the Russian Lake Sweep guys or RLS, I noticed smartly they've changed their logo branding to just be RLS podcast or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty good idea right now.
I don't know if they'll be there or not because they're local to our area as well.
I believe, isn't Mikey involved in that
in
show
both shows?
So I imagine that even if the whole crew isn't there, he'll be there representing in some fashion.
So unintentionally, EMC has a pretty big presence at this
They
thing.
really do. They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Melanie,
Yes.
got anything you want to mention?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Right. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You can find more at grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX podcast.com. Soon, next episode, we'll be talking about, it's a secret.
Oh,
Don't tell anyone. No, not that. Not that, although I am feeling another AI dungeon adventure since we did that You Choose thing.
It scratched the itch. Like, we didn't realize we had an itch, and now it's been scratched. It's like, you'd think that scratching the itch would make the itch go away. No, it makes the itch worse.
It does. It does.
We need more.
I have science behind it, but let's not.
I was about to say Melanie has science. She explained that to me not long ago, actually. Why aren't you based all the time? All right. Something exciting. Comic fans will enjoy maybe our upcoming episode. Yeah. So we'll just throw that out there. Party on. Wait, no, that's Wade's World. Good enough.
Yeah, it's close enough.
It's a little bit of
close
both.
enough.
It's a little bit of both.
All right. Bye, everybody. Let's just end this.
Bye.